What's good, YouTube? It's your boy S.O.G. In today's video, I'm going to be comparing the Glock 43x MOS and the Glock 26 MOS. Both of these are Gen 5s, and this is a long debate in terms of which of these two is Glock's best concealed carry weapon, and we're going to discuss that in this video. Now, starting with the price point of the Glock 43x, there's two different variants for this. You have the MOS version, which is the optic ready, and then you have the non-MOS version. For the non-MOS, this should be starting at around $450, and if you want to add the MOS option, this jumps up to $480. For the Glock 26, again, the two variants, which is MOS and non-MOS. For the non-MOS, this starts roughly around $570, and if you add the MOS, it jumps up to about $620. Now, these two are Glock's best-selling concealed carry guns because one is the slimmest and one is the shortest in terms of height. So I want to talk a little bit about the size dimensions and differences between both of these weapons. Going over here, starting with the Glock 43x, you have a length of 6.5 inches here. You have a height of 5.04 inches, and you have a width here of 1.1 inches. Now, when we compare that to the Glock 26, the Glock 26 has a length of 6.42 inches. It's got a height of 4.17 inches, and it's got a width of 1.3 inches. Because this is smaller, you would think it weighs less than the 43x, but because this is slimmer, it actually weighs a little less. So when we compare the weight, the 43x comes in at 18.55 ounces, and the 26 comes in at 21.69 ounces. So the 43x is slightly lighter than the 26. Now, both of these do share something in common with the most popular Glock 19, and I'll tell you guys what it is. So the 26, what it shares is the width. So the width is the same as the Glock 19, and the 43, what it shares is the height. So this is the same height as the Glock 19. Now, in terms of the barrel length, these are almost identical. The Glock 26, which is the one on top, is 3.43 in length, and the Glock 43x, which is on the bottom, is a 3.41. So the barrels are almost identical in terms of size. Now, in my opinion, where it starts to get interesting is when we start comparing magazine compatibility, because as we know that the slim line, this does not take any double stack magazine. It only takes Glock 43x mags, which are single stack mags. So the factory mag comes with 10 rounds, but you do have the option to get an aftermarket magazine, and this is you have the option of getting either shield arms mags, which I'm not a fan of, or you have the option of getting the PSA micro dagger 15 round magazine, which I am a fan of. So this is the same exact size as the OEM mag, but yet it holds an extra 5 rounds. So those are basically your only 3 options, which would either be the factory 10 round, the PSA micro dagger 15 round, or the shield arms 15 round. So without aftermarket, you're stuck with one option, which is just a 10 round magazine for this 43x. Now, in my opinion, where the Glock 26 really shines is here with the magazine compatibility. Because it's a double stack, it'll take any Glock OEM double stack magazine, whether it be the factory 10, 12, 15, 18, 24, 17, 33, whatever you got that's a double stack that can come in a Glock, that comes in a Glock, will fit the 26, and that's where this really shines, because you could ultimately convert this into the size of a 19 and take 15, and now you're at the same height as a 19 and also as a 43x, but with 5 rounds extra with an OEM mag. So you do have much more variety and much better options when it comes to magazines with the Glock 26. Now, if you're a person who enjoys having a light mounted on your weapon, especially a concealed carry weapon, you have the option of a rail on this 43x, but you have no rail on the Glock 26. So that's another big win for the 43x, that you can mount a light that fits this rail, but you don't have much of an option here for the Glock 26. I think the only light without an adapter that you can mount on this is the TLR6, but for this you can go up to the mighty TLR7 sub and other options that are out there. In terms of the sights, the optic compatibility, the grip texture, all that stuff is the same because they are Glock. But where it does change a little bit is actually the trigger. If you guys can see here, you have these ridges or this texture on this 43X trigger, and on the 26 you don't get that texture or those cuts or ridges. You just get the flat face, which this is much smoother, much better than the 43X. In my opinion, the 43X does have the worst trigger out of all Glocks that I have tried. And this is also compatible with the Glock Performance trigger, which I have, so you can swap the standard to the Glock Performance trigger on the 26, but you can't do that on the 43X. Now, both guns do come with a loaded chamber indicator. As you can see, it's actually located right on the extractor here, so obviously this is not loaded. We have already checked prior to the video, but if you run your finger down it, it's very smooth, and when there's a chamber or when there's a round in the chamber, this will actually pop up just a bit, so when you run your finger down, it'll get caught and you'll be able to feel it. It's very subtle, but they both do have loaded chamber indicators. If you're a lefty, you'll notice that the slide release is only on the left side, not on the right side, and you'll notice that you have the mag release on the left side as well, although you can swap it over to the right side. And if you compare that to the Glock 26, Glock 26 does a nice job of having slide locks or slide releases on both sides, and you have the mag release on the left, but can also be swapped over to the right side. So what exactly do you get in the box when you buy a Glock 26 Gen 5 MOS? Obviously you get the gun. This does come with 3 10-round magazines, which is really nice. And you also get backstrap options here and some, I think it's just one mounting plate now that they give you for the MOS version. So that's what you get out of the box with this 26. And when we look at the box for the 43X, what comes with the 43X? You obviously, again, you get the gun. You do get 2 10-round magazines, which I wish it would have given you 3, but you get 2 10-round magazines, and I don't believe you actually get any backstrap options for the 43X. Correct me if I'm wrong though, I don't have the box for my 43X, I couldn't find it, but I don't believe that actually came with the backstrap options. Now, are there any negatives that I would say between the 26 and the 43X? And fortunately for me, I haven't had any issues. I've got probably close to, if not over 3,000 rounds in the 43X and about 12 to 1,500 rounds in the 26. Both are very accurate, both are really fun to shoot. For me, I prefer the 43X shootability wise, just because usually when I shoot the 26, it's with the 10-round mag, and so I find it harder for me to get comfortable holding the frame with 2 fingers, as opposed to being able to get all my fingers around the frame, but just having it be a little bit slimmer. So that's just all up to the shooter. Now, if you slap a 12 or 15 round in this does shoot a lot better. It feels a lot better now that it shoots better, but it feels a lot better to shoot, a little bit easier to handle. Like I said, the trigger on this is much better than the 43X. A lot of people say they compare the shootability with the 26. They compare it to the 19. I personally wouldn't say all that, but it does feel similar just because of how thick it is and how much mass you have on the gun itself, especially like I said with that extended magazine. But I personally like that I can get on target just a little bit quicker with the 43X for some reason, and that was prior to me adding the updated night sights on it. So I was using factory sights, but for me it was just a little bit quicker to get on target with this. And again, it could be because of the grip angle or not the grip angle, but the grip length, that it's just so nice to pick up and grab and just aim downrange. So for me, shootability wise, they're both 10 out of 10. Comfort wise, I would give that to the 43X, but the feel of the trigger, I would go with the 26. Here's just a few clips of me shooting both, so you guys can kind of see, I guess, the recoil on each of these. Now I will say that the 43X has a little more recoil than the 26, which is probably why the 26 feels smoother to shoot once you get used to it. But once you get used to the 43X, in my opinion, that recoil just kind of goes away and you just don't really notice it anymore. Again, that's just my opinion, and I do prefer to shoot the 43X over the Glock 26. Now in terms of concealability, my 26 is, I usually wear this outside the waistband, still concealed though, and I wear my 43X inside the waistband. And I will say that for me, for my body type, it is much easier to conceal the 43X because of how thin it is. The 26 is so nice to have it short, but what kills it for me is just how thick and how chunky this is. I mean, you can kind of just see the bulge just coming off. And I do wear strong side. I don't wear it appendix, so I don't know if that could potentially cause the reason why it is more concealable for me. But to those of you guys who conceal appendix, it might change a little bit. It might be different. You might find it easier to conceal the thickness of it, and you know, it might be better for you to carry the 26. But for me, I carry strong side and it's easier to conceal the 43X. Man, I hope that this video helped you guys decide on which of these two was a better fit for you. There's tons of videos out there about these two being compared, and I hope that this one was a little bit different, a little bit more into depth for y'all to help you guys make up your mind on what you want. But if it was up to me, I would say get them both. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, to tune in to the next video. God bless you guys, and I'll see y'all on the next one.